Hello! Today, as I'm recording this, sorry, this is probably gonna come out a few days late for you, I do apologise, but as I'm recording this, at least, it is March 30th, which, as we all know, is the anniversary of Rawk. On this day, four years ago, I released the first episode in this series. And it has become tradition for me to just kind of discuss the past year on this day. Make it sound like it's a fucking holy event. It's not. But yeah, it's become something of a tradition to just discuss the past year of Rawk on any given anniversary, so I am here to do just that. Looking back at the past year is crazy to me. The last time I was doing one of these videos, granted, I did it like a month late, but when I should have been doing the last one of these videos, I had just like freshly moved. And it is bizarre to think that I have lived in this house for a year at this point, over a year. That is just, it's crazy. It feels like it's still very new. I feel like I'm still settling in some ways, but I think having the extra space has really benefited the content, and I hope that has been able to come across to you. The general output for this past year, season 4 specifically, has been pretty good. I've been pretty happy with it. I did weekly for a while, then I kind of did bi-weekly. There was a little period where things just came out when they came out. But generally, I'm really happy with the schedule, if you will. That unfortunately has not carried on into season 5. And I feel like I've talked about this before, but I am just in such a busy time of my life right now. I'm having significantly less time to be able to work on these videos, and I'm trying to make them a lot better, so they are taking longer to actually make. And I am also exploring other creative endeavors which began this year, so I guess we should just talk about that. The first, then I would argue the biggest one, ironically, considering they're currently on a mini hiatus, but shorts. I started doing shorts. For a good few months, I was doing a short every single day. I was posting them on YouTube, and I was posting them on TikTok, and they were just clips from past episodes that I thought were funny and could be reworked into a bite-sized format. And yeah, I just threw those up on YouTube and TikTok, and they did pretty well. They helped growth of the channel pretty substantially. In fact, I would be willing to argue, at least, that they are almost solely responsible for me reaching 1,000 subscribers, which is a thing that I did this year also. I don't remember how many subscribers I had in the last video of this nature, but I do know that I am actually closer to 2,000 now than I am 1,000. Not by much. I'm closer by like 50. But that is still absolutely ridiculous. Thank you all so very much for the continued support and just everything you do to help keep this channel going. There's never a day that goes by where it is not massively appreciated. So thank you all very, very much for that. Another endeavor that I embarked on this year was Patreon. I opened up a Patreon, and the response to that seems to have been pretty good. I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm as active as I'd like to be in the Discord server, because I'm not very active in any Discord server. It still feels very new as a platform to me. It's intimidating and all that fun stuff. But, you know, I offer behind-the-scenes tidbits, and the people in the Patreon are always the first to know about whatever's going on. And, yeah, I also started doing early previews for videos, and potentially one of my favourite creative projects, the Production Update podcast. Rawk started this year, and it's just been a really nice little outlet to kind of talk about what I'm doing. You know, I don't like to reveal what I'm doing super publicly, so I think that works really well as a thing to do exclusively for patrons, and it's been a really fun time. It's definitely helped my like unscripted confidence. I mean, I've been talking for 6 minutes now without a script, and you know, I don't think I'd be able to do that without having Rawk there, and it was a nice little, it still continues to be a nice little way of like checking in with my content and how I'm feeling about it on a monthly basis, and I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, I don't remember how I typically structure these things. I know I like to talk about the content itself, not just the frequency of it being posted. But it's kind of a weird thing for me to do at the minute. Season 4 is a strange thing for me to reflect on personally. As you have no doubt noticed with all of the episodes in Season 5 so far and beyond, like the ones that have already released, you will continue to see this. I have been putting in such an effort to find a more unique voice. Find a way of presenting content that is much more distinctly me. You know, it's no secret that I have been massively inspired by a certain other creator. And I think Season 4 was the boiling point of that. It kind of... That was when the influence became too much. It became something I started to realize that I needed to escape from. Not just for the sake of the content, but for my own sake. I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't enjoy making videos this year, because that's a lie. I did. I had so much fun with every single video I made. It's just that looking back, it wasn't fulfilling me creatively as much as it maybe has done in the past. And that is just because, you know, I'm sure lots of comments on Season 4 videos will be very quick to tell you that it didn't feel like my own, you know? The stuff I was making, even though I was enjoying it and I was putting forth my own opinions and my own research and all of that stuff, it still was being held back by being so closely inspired by someone else. It stopped feeling like my own content. And you know, the videos that I enjoyed the most last year was stuff like Anime and Me. That was the start of a new sub-series, and it was just completely off the wall, creative. It didn't tie to any of the tropes that I kind of instilled for the series, and it was so much fun to make. The Halloween special, while still being quite within that structure, that was probably my favorite video of the year, honestly. I know I say this all the time, but I just adore the Halloween specials, and so being able to put a more unique twist on them, using them to help me figure out my own creative voice. It's really cool. So, yeah. If I had to answer the question of which video this year was my favorite, it was probably the Halloween special. Just a Nintendo fan was close, if we just want to talk about the final product. But fuck me, man, that video experienced just the worst development I have ever experienced. I talked about this a bit on the production update podcast, but that video and the production cycle that went along with it, that spurred me to slow down. That video is the reason that there is so much time between uploads now, because I nearly reached a point of complete and utter burnout. I was very close to the point of no return with that video, and it was just the way I went about making it was it was not good, and yeah, it almost had me leaving this behind for good. It had that much of a negative impact on me. But the video itself, I adore. I absolutely love that video. But it is unfortunately impossible for me to separate myself from the production cycle. So yeah, towards the end of the 4th year of Rawk, specifically all of the stuff in 2024, I've been making a really conscious effort to try and create these videos in a healthier way, find a better balance, not worry so much about releasing things on a specific date, making sure I have exactly this many videos, and also not sticking to the release schedule that I planned so rigidly. You know, 2 of the 3 videos that I've released so far, I made on a whim. I had a random spark of inspiration, and I thought, oh, that could be fun to make into a video, and then I did it. And those were 2 of the most creatively fulfilling projects I've worked on in such a long time. It was just great. So the mindset towards creating is definitely shifting. And I think that's probably also fairly obvious just from the thumbnails and titles changing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the season started with ditching the typical thumbnail template, if you will. But I did, after I finally broke down that barrier and realized how much better it would be for me and for my content, I went back and changed those thumbnails. I got rid of the little triangle in the corner that was used to signify that this is a Rawk video, as if you couldn't tell from the name of the channel and the name in the title and the face on the screen. So yeah, I got rid of that, and I'm allowing myself to be a lot more free with thumbnails. I'm not sticking to a template. I'm not creating them under rules and any of that stuff. I'm just making the thumbnails that I think would look cool, and it feels so much better. And I'm doing the same thing in the writing process and the recording process and the editing process. I've got videos coming up that I'm currently working on where there's basically not a script. There's like little bits of script, but then most of the video is unscripted. And that's really, really fun. I'm allowing myself to be more free. And that is immensely creatively satisfying. And I think I would be remiss to not mention, I've mentioned them a lot on the Production Update podcast, but just the wonderful, truly spectacular people in the Smash Max official Discord server and the Creator Hub. Specifically Smash Max himself, because he is the one who began that community. He invited me in. I was welcomed with open arms by so many different creators, who some of which I'd never even heard of. You know, there was some creators in there that I had watched, and some that I had collaborated with just briefly. But there was a whole community that I didn't even know existed. And it made this space feel so much less lonely. It felt like I was part of something so much bigger than just my videos. And being able to share ideas and take criticisms and all of that from these wonderful people, that more than anything is the spur for this change. The radical changes, if you want to call them that my content is currently experiencing, that is the influence of people like Smashmax, like Luminos, like Brocodes, like Brandon Bound, like Lemleyton. There's so many more people that I talk to on a regular basis who I can't even begin to thank enough for their contributions to my channel. You know, it sounds weird to thank people so so much for essentially looking at my content and saying, this is good, but, you know, here's the things you could be doing better. It takes that criticism and that second opinion to be able to improve what you're doing. And I think being a part of this community has finally opened my eyes to that. You know, I'd get comments all the time saying I was a clone of X YouTuber or Y YouTuber, and it's easy to ignore those comments because a lot of them do not come off as constructive criticism. They come off as just needlessly hate-mongering. And that's not the vibe. That is not something I want to engage with. I want nothing to do with that. But when it was coming from creators in the same space who were constructively criticizing what I was doing, they were offering advice instead of insults, it nurtured a space for me to be able to grow and to be able to see what I could be doing better. And I just will never, ever be able to thank the people in that server enough. That community is also, they have been the bulk of my collaborations in this past year. I have worked with, I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with McMick, I worked with Leo64, I worked with Brandon Bound, I worked with Smashmax, I worked with Lemleyton, oh my god, who else? There was so many people, basically. I had a load of people in my content, I appeared in a load of other people's content. It was great all around. However, there was one person who is not from that server that I had in my content this year, and I just want to take a quick second to talk about that. Eddie Edick Bowley was in an episode of Rawk. What the fuck? That was an insane opportunity. It just came about from I continued to do editing work with him for this year. And I was looking for someone to voice the inner voice character for Anime and Me. And I was just like, you know, Eddie does voice work. He might say no, but I'll never know if I don't ask. And then he said yes. And he did such a good job. His lines came out, like, perfectly. Like, exactly as I'd imagined them. And it was just... It was great. It was a great opportunity. I also worked with new musicians and new artists this year. That was really fun. I worked with so many people that I can't actually name off the top of my head. I obviously continued to work with Alan, as ever. He just created some absolute bangers, if I may. And he also almost single-handedly saved Just a Nintendo Fan. One of the musicians I was working with, through no fault of their own, like personal emergency issues, they had to drop out of my commission that I was doing with them just a few days before the video was due to go out. And obviously there was nothing that could be done about that. And I understood that this was something they had to do, but it left me kind of stranded. And so Alan Riddick swoops in and he saves the day. He created the credits theme in just record time. It took him, I don't even think it took him 2 days to do that, which is insane. And I feel so bad for inflicting that upon him. But I can't put into words just how much I appreciate that, because Alan really did save Christmas. He saved Christmas. And it was, I'll forever be indebted to him for doing that. But yeah, I worked with a couple of musicians for the Patreon launch, as well as Anime and Me, and Just a Nintendo Fan. I had lots and lots and lots of artwork made by so many different talented individuals. I'm going to link them all in the description of this video, because again, I worked with too many to name off the top of my head right now, but they are all so talented and they were so good to work with. They were all so kind and open to my ideas, and the final products were just spectacular. So I will link them all down below. I worked with them for the Patreon launch, for Anime and Me, and for the Christmas special. I think that was the only episodes I got that I got artwork commissioned for. But there was a lot. There was a lot of artwork this season, and it felt so good. It's really cool that this little show that I created 4 years ago to the day can facilitate so many talented people working and doing what they do best, you know? Putting their best foot forward to help this cause. And it's a feeling I'm never going to get used to. And it's a feeling I'm never going to stop being so just immensely grateful for. I can't even find the words to properly articulate my gratitude to all of the amazing people I work with. The artists, the musicians. I had logos designed this year by Mocha T. That was really, really cool. They did some fantastic work, which I really, really, really appreciate. Just so many talented people, all essentially coming together to help me, which is, it's a weird thing to wrap your head around, but it's also just so cool. On the topic of working with people, I got to do my first 2 live stream appearances this year. That was wild. I've never done any live streaming before, but Smash Max did a 24-hour me making stream, and I got to co-commentate with a lot of people from this community, and it was the first time I'd spoken to them. It was the first time that I'd like gone beyond just messaging them, and it was really, really fun. Such a cool experience. And then just last week, Smash Max and we raced on Mario 64. And George Z Gamer guys, I can't believe I just said that the American way. He co-commentated with us, and that was again just such a fun opportunity. It was really nice to spend that time with those guys. Yeah, because I don't think my internet could handle live streaming myself, so it's fun to make appearances on other live streams, and I really enjoy doing that. So, what is on the horizon for Rawk? What's coming for the rest of the year? I honestly don't know. I have a whole schedule written out, and I have not stuck to it at all so far. I have been having lots and lots of like spur of the moment passions and random ideas that I think would be cool. So I really am just winging it this year. I am taking things slow, and I am letting whatever comes to my head happen. I'm not holding back anymore. And I think the content is going to benefit from it. There will be a number of episodes. I think 15 total was the goal for 2024, and then who even knows about 2025. But yeah, I've got a fair few more episodes working, like in the works. I've got more original shorts coming out, because that's something I've tried as well. I plan on appearing on as many other people's videos as I am able to do. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy year. It is going to be a year of a lot of change. I coined last year the year of change, you know. I entertained the idea of getting a haircut with the haircut, the April Fool's video, and then just about a year later, I actually did get a haircut. I moved house, I changed all of my backgrounds, towards the end of the year, I did start to change how things were being made. I am now open to talking about more than just video games and more than just Nintendo games. Things changed in this past year. And so I think 2024 is going to be the year of experimentation. It already has been the year of experimentation. I am letting whatever ideas come into my brain, I'm just letting them happen. And I can't wait to see where that takes me. If the first few videos of me doing that are any indication, this could be quite a successful year for the channel if I keep doing things the way I've been doing them. You know, currently, like if we're talking about near future plans, I have 4 videos in the works. I have written and recorded and are beginning to edit 4 videos. So when it takes me a while to upload, I'm not slacking, you know. I'm not taking a break. I am working. It's just, you know, work takes different forms sometimes. And other things in life have to take priority sometimes. And that is a thing that I also need to be okay with. I need to be okay with taking breaks and being spontaneous. I need to let go of the reins just a bit. Not just when it comes to content, but when it comes to my life. So, yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do this year. I'm just going to let whatever happens, happen. And hopefully, I'll see a lot of you along for the ride. You know, there's a lot of... This channel, specifically, the second channel, this is going to be getting a lot more use this year. Just little random side projects that I'm really excited about. Yeah, it's going to be a good year. And while I may not look back on the previous year as fondly as maybe other years, just because of where I'm currently at mentally and creatively, it was still a good year. I'm still proud of everything that I made. Not make. Well, yes, I am proud of everything I make. And I'm proud of everything I have made. And I'm proud, I'm sure, of everything I will continue to make. I'm rambling at this point, so I'm going to wrap things up here. But, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to support me. Thank you for you. Oh, you're great. Thanks.